It started with a smell that no one in the village could explain. Not the smell of death, not the smell of animals, but something older, something rotten, like the walls themselves were hiding a secret. For years, the Ashford house stood at the end of the road, quiet, untouched, and avoided by everyone who lived nearby. People said the family who lived there never left, and no one ever saw them bury their dead. Tonight, on Night Archive, we open the door to one of the strangest and most disturbing family histories ever recorded, the macabre story of the Ashford family. Before we go deeper, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Night Archive, because the stories we uncover here are not the kind you hear anywhere else. And the next one might be even darker than this. The Ashford family first appeared in local records in the late 1800s, living in a large countryside house far from the nearest town. They kept to themselves, spoke to no one, and rarely allowed visitors inside. At first, people thought they were simply private, maybe religious, maybe strange, but harmless. That changed the winter the first disappearance happened. A farm worker who delivered supplies to the Ashford house never came back. His horse was found tied outside their gate, but the man himself was gone. When the sheriff asked the family if they had seen him, they said he never arrived. There was no proof, no witnesses, nothing to search. Still, the feeling in the village changed that day. People stopped going near the Ashford property after sunset. Months later, another strange thing happened. Smoke began rising from the Ashford chimney every night, even during warm weather when no one needed a fire. The smoke was thick, dark, and carried a smell that made people close their windows. One neighbor later said the smell reminded him of burned leather, mixed with something he could not name. Years passed, and the Ashford children grew up, but something about them always seemed wrong. They never played with other kids. They never went to school. And when people saw them walking together, they always walked in silence, perfectly in step, as if they had been taught never to speak outside the house. One night, during a heavy storm, lightning struck a tree near the Ashford property, and part of the fence broke down. For the first time, someone from the village could see the backyard clearly. What they saw was never written in any official report, but the story spread anyway. There were no animals, no garden, no tools, only piles of ash near the back wall of the house. Large piles, too large for a normal fireplace. After that night, the rumors started. People said the Ashfords burned everything. Trash, furniture, clothes. Some said they burned animals. Others said they burned things that used to be alive. No one wanted to find out the truth. By the early 1900s, the father of the Ashford family died, but there was no funeral, no coffin, no priest. The family simply stopped mentioning him, and the smoke from the chimney grew even thicker than before. Around this time, travelers passing through the area began to disappear. Not many, just enough for people to notice a pattern. A man heading north who never reached the next town. A woman selling cloth who was last seen near the Ashford road. A hunter who went into the woods and never returned. The sheriff at the time wanted to search the house, but without proof, he had no legal reason. And the Ashfords refused to let anyone inside. They always spoke politely, always calmly, always together. That made it worse. They never argued, never showed emotion, never looked surprised. One night, a boy from the village dared his friends that he would touch the Ashford gate after dark. He never came back home. His footprints were found near the fence, and then nothing. No signs of struggle. No blood. No tracks leaving the property. That was the moment the village truly became afraid. People started locking their doors earlier. No one walked alone at night anymore, and everyone avoided the road that passed by the Ashford house. Years later, the last known member of the family, a woman named Ashford, was seen in town buying large amounts of coal, more coal than one person could ever need. When the shop owner asked why, she smiled and said the house gets cold at night, even in summer. Not long after that, the smoke stopped. For the first time in decades, the chimney went dark. Days passed, then weeks. No one saw anyone leave the house. Eventually, the sheriff gathered the courage to go there with 2 deputies. They knocked on the door. No answer. They knocked again. Still nothing. The door was unlocked. Inside, the house looked normal at first. Furniture in place, dishes on the table, beds made neatly. But there was no food in the kitchen, no clothes in the closets, no personal items anywhere. It looked like a house where people had lived, but not a house anyone planned to return to. Then they found the basement door. It was locked from the outside. When they opened it, the smell came first. The same smell people had complained about for years. Burned, thick, and sickening. The basement was filled with old tools, broken furniture, and a large iron furnace built into the wall. Bigger than any normal household furnace. Inside it, they found layers of ash, so deep it reached the bottom of the door. Mixed in the ash were things no one wanted to talk about. Buttons, metal buckles, fragments of bone too small to identify. The report was never fully released to the public. Officially, the Ashford family was listed as missing. The house was sealed and the land was left empty. But the story did not end there. Years later, people who passed near the abandoned house said they sometimes saw smoke rising from the chimney again, even though no one lived there anymore. Some claimed they heard footsteps inside. Others said they saw lights in the basement window late at night. No one ever stayed long enough to check. To this day, the Ashford property remains empty, and the house slowly fell apart, but locals still refuse to go near it after dark. They say whatever the Ashford family was hiding never left that place. It just stayed quiet, waiting. Stories like this are why Night Archive exists, because some histories are too strange, too disturbing, and too unexplained to ever feel finished. If you made it this far, comment below and tell me, do you think the Ashford family were just criminals? Or was something much darker happening inside that house? And don't forget to share this video with someone who loves real dark history. Because the more people who watch, the more stories we can uncover here on Night Archive. And trust me, the next story is even worse.